Hello, my dear friends. How are you doing? Hope you are having an amazing day and not having to deal with drama. Ready for new stories I have for you today? Let's go to the first one. And don't forget to listen to the end of the story, guys, to hear my insights. Enjoy the stories. And don't forget to like and subscribe. And of course, don't forget to leave a comment. I married very young, to Cindy, and we had a tumultuous 3.5 years of marriage. She and I were never right for one another, and we were too young and silly and in love to realize that. She began a long-term affair with Lamar. Eventually, she left me for him, and I was divorced at the whopping age of 23. I moved on, did many of the things I had always wanted to do, got the education I wanted, and then got remarried 4 years ago to my current wife, Samantha. Sam and I have a much better, more easygoing marriage. I'm happier than I've ever been, and we have a great little family. Last year, we had twin girls. So much work, but we love it. Can't complain about life at all. Just after the kids were born, Hurricane Cindy blew through town. Cindy and Lamar are still together, living in our old town, and apparently very happy. She wanted to apologize for how she ended things. She left me a note, and then I never heard from her or saw her again. Her family handled all of the legal proceedings, and we never set eyes on one another again. She came over, brought gifts for the kids and my wife. I'm still waiting for her to return my watch, but I digress. I accepted her apologies and got her the hell out of my house. But somehow, she sort of stayed in contact with Samantha, much to my chagrin. When they first visited, Cindy said she and Lamar were trying for kids, but weren't pregnant. Over the last couple of months, my wife has reported that Facebook posts have included IVF, doctor's visits, reposting infertility blogs, etc. I know it's callous, but I frankly don't care. She and Lamar are grown-ups. Anyway, Cindy and Lamar moved much closer to where we live, within a 10-minute drive. Ugh. They popped by on Sunday to give some candy and gifts. You know, the usual. Oh, and ask if my wife would carry their baby. Happy Easter! I kindly told them that it was out of the question, but if they left quickly, they wouldn't get stuck in the rain. My wife wants to think about it. I asked her what there was to think about. There's no better revenge than revenge served with the side of stay out of my life. She's my ex-wife. I don't want her in my life, and I don't want her in our suburb. My wife is thinking about this as if it were her. She keeps saying how she would have gone to great lengths to have kids, and she can't imagine not being able to have children. She's actually considering carrying a baby for my ex-wife and the man she had an affair with. I feel like this is a gross overstepping of boundaries, but my wife wants us to stop and talk about this another time. Am I being unreasonable here? Is there really anything to consider? First, neither my ex nor Lamar are well-to-do, and I doubt they really have the resources to truly cover the expenses involved, so there's that. Moreover, I just don't want my wife going through another pregnancy that is ultimately unnecessary. We'd like to have more kids, and this would push us out by a few years. I feel like, again, my ex makes unreasonable requests, and people just seem to give in. I'd be pretty hurt by this. Have you explained to your wife truly what happened and how hurt you were by Cindy's actions? You are not being unreasonable. Cindy was unkind to you and hurt you. She is your past. It is completely acceptable to not want a callous and unpleasant part of your past come back into your present, and, if your wife has the baby, future. This would be a genuine deal breaker for me. More than that, the ex shouldn't be in your life anymore at all. Your wife shouldn't be in contact with her. I really can't believe your wife would even consider this. Hopefully, she will come to her senses. The crazy has definitely made a visit to your household. You explain your feelings well, and you're totally justified. I have a feeling some people will say it's her body, her choice, but this is over the top. First, a little history. My wife, let's call her Karen, and I met in undergrad almost 20 years ago, and were friends before we started dating. We had a very short courtship before I proposed, 2 months. We have been married for 15 years and have 2 kids. We have had our ups and downs and did a solid year of couples counseling about 8 years ago, and that really helped at the time. Fast forward to about a year ago when she began to regularly tell me that the spark was gone. She was lonely, that I wasn't fulfilling her needs emotionally. I spent more and more time trying to meet her needs, but it was never enough. She would constantly deride my efforts and tell me she felt like I was just a roommate to her, not a husband. Our sex life gradually got worse and worse, and eventually, we decided this was not tenable anymore. I asked her to go to counseling again, as it had really helped in the past, and she refused. So we decided to separate. Karen has always been the breadwinner. She makes damn good money, and I am self-employed, and for the last couple of years I have struggled to break even. My role has always been to manage my work schedule around the kids' schedule so that we didn't have to have them in childcare, and to maintain the house and yard. I'm the cook, the maid, the yard guy. I watch the kids while she's working, and my career always came second to that. I honestly didn't mind because that was the dynamic we set up and I agreed to. A couple of years ago, we took out some rather large loans to open a new business that, through a whole series of duck-ups, culminating in shutdowns, has failed. The only reason I mention this is because now we are saddled with all this debt, and I have very little income to live on my own. So even though we have been separated for the last 4 months, I am still living in the house and sleeping in the guest room. I am in the process of restarting my business and working part-time so I can move out. These things just take longer than expected. Our separation started off amicably enough, and we decided we would do our best to get through the divorce without lawyers. We sat down and looked at all of the assets and debts, and drafted a plan for us both to contribute to pay it back and move on with our lives. We also agreed that we could see other people if we wanted, but she made the stipulation that as long as I was living here and we had a joint bank account, I wasn't going to pay for anybody's dinner. Her exact words were, "I don't care who you duck, I just don't want to pay for her dinner." So naturally, I met someone and we hit it off. We would text at night and see each other during the day here and there, but I kept it low-key so as not to disturb the home dynamic. One evening, after I thought Karen had gone to bed, I went out on the back porch to talk to my new lady friend, and at one point, I turned around to see Karen standing there listening to my conversation. She then locked me out of the house, and I had to knock on the dang door for her to let me in. At this point, the interrogation began. I was honest and told her who I was speaking to, and her whole world flipped upside down. She started screaming at me and hit me and just lost all composure. I just took it and reminded her of our arrangement and let her rage. Things have been increasingly tense since then, and she has now set a date for me to move out with not a dime of help. I've got it figured out, and expects me to pay a full half of the debts we owe, even though she makes 10 times as much as me. She continues to deride me, is snide all the ducking time, and is making my life miserable. She is telling me I'm going to duck up the kids by dating too soon, that she wants 80-20 custody, and that I wanted this divorce, and so on and so forth. Now comes the ducked up part. A couple of weekends ago, she asked me to watch the kids so she could go out of town for an extended weekend. I had no problem with this. I love my kids, and extra time with them was welcome. When I asked her where she was going, she wouldn't tell me, and she wouldn't tell the kids. When I expressed concern if anyone knew where she was going for safety reasons, how could I call for help if she was missing, etc., she just said someone was watching out for her and not to worry. Now, I did my best to let this go and didn't snoop. She got back no problem, and crap is just as tense as before. Yesterday, while I was grabbing the laundry from upstairs, I noticed her carry-on bag from the trip was still laying on the floor, unpacked and open. When I glanced down, I saw she had packed the game Splendor. This piqued my interest because that meant she visited someone to play it with, and that was her and my brother's favorite game to play together. Brief interlude. My brother, in the military, for the last year has been stationed 30 minutes away and spent just about every weekend at our house. This was awesome, as we hadn't seen much of each other for the last 10 years, so it was welcome. Over that time, Karen and my brother would stay up long after I had gone to bed, drinking, talking, and playing games, sometimes till 3 or 4 in the morning. I really didn't think much of it. It was my brother, for duck's sake. At some point later in the year, my spidey sense went off a little bit when I got a wild hair and decided to stay up late a couple of times, and Karen got annoyed with me and would ask me why I wasn't tired. Don't you want to go to bed, etc. I kind of half joked with her and asked if anything was going on, which she denied, of course. My brother was transferred away to another state about the same time we decided to separate. Back to the carry-on bag. Now, I couldn't help myself. I started going through the bag looking for a boarding pass or some other clue as to where she went. What I found instead blew me away. Tucked in the front jacket of a book was an envelope addressed to Karen. In that envelope was a full-blown love letter from my brother, saying how much he missed her and was sad he couldn't be there for her birthday, and hoping that they would be able to meet more often, etc. He signed it off, "The love of my life." For now, this is my secret. I have not confronted her about this. Now, if there is one thing I want, is for Karen to be happy in life. But this is ducking with my family. She has been putting me down for seeing someone and telling me I'm going to duck up the kids for dating and making my life hell, while she's been ducking my brother for God knows how long. It seems to me that my kids are going to be way more ducked up from her choices than mine. I'm supposed to go celebrate Christmas with my family next week, and my brother is going to be there. Karen is supposed to be there with the kids, and I don't think I can handle that. She literally had the audacity to ask me if I was excited to see my brother. I am seriously considering saying, "Duck all y'all," and just not going, which will raise all kinds of questions with the family, and it will all come out. I don't know what to do. Do I continue to act like I don't know? Do I forget about our prior agreement and get a divorce attorney? When and how do I confront her about this? This is so ducked up. Okay, calm, not angry, non-petty advice. Seriously, tell everybody. Tell your parents, tell your family, tell her family. Confront your brother, confront your soon-to-be ex-wife. Just don't tell the kids, assuming they are young, or trash your soon-to-be ex-wife to the kids. Why tell everybody? Because this knowledge is going to kill you mentally and tear your family apart. Hiding it won't stop it from tearing your family apart. The longer you hide it and the more you allow your soon-to-be ex-wife and brother to control the narrative and make them out to be the lovelorn victims and try to get pity and empathy, your marriage is over. You know it, she knows it, and your brother knows it, since he's been sleeping with your wife in your house with you there for a very long time now. The time has come for you to put yourself, your needs, and your children's needs first. Get a lawyer, collect evidence. Even if you live in a no-fault state, having a copy of that letter and any texts, emails, messages they've sent can be a powerful amount of leverage, personally and legally, and expose their betrayal to the light of day. They are absolutely depending on secrecy right now and have a plan to wait to reveal their relationship to make it look legitimate and like it wasn't cheating. After she divorced my brother, I stayed in touch with Karen to talk about the kids, and we just clicked. I know it's inconvenient, but we love each other and need your support. You can't help who you fall in love with, and this all happened after the divorce. My brother is just angry, bitter, and acting like a child. Did you know he was already dating someone while Karen was still living in their marital house? So disrespectful to her and the kids. Don't let them control the narrative and manipulate your family and friends against you, because they absolutely will. Sorry guys, no update on this story. Me and my wife have been together for 13 years and have 2 boys, 3 male and 7 male. My wife has a variety of health problems, both mental and physical, and this year had an operation, which means she's now infertile. This was known before the operation. My brother's wife, sister-in-law, is now pregnant, and my wife isn't handling this well. She's always wanted 3 kids and feels that this option has been taken from her. The combination of valid grief for this loss of a future baby, plus depression, plus post-op hormone changes, has left her very unstable. The current issue is that my wife doesn't want the rest of us, me and the boys, to meet up with extended family at the same time as my brother and sister-in-law. I have told her I accept if she doesn't want to come along, and I'm happy to give whatever excuse she wants. Example, the truth or a not well. But she's trying to force me to only get together when brother and sister-in-law are not there. This obviously isn't suitable when occasions are Christmas and birthdays, etc. I'm also happy to visit twice if she wants to see the family if there's a slot where brother and sister-in-law are not around. In my opinion, expecting us to not meet up is an unreasonable demand. However, there is an element of genuine grief, emotion I can't ignore here, so want to get around the situation as best as possible. This came up some weeks ago due to other gatherings, and I went without her, and the issue was swept under the rug. But this time, I want to try and address it more fully, rather than face weeks of animosity and walking on eggshells leading up to events. Any advice? Your wife is being incredibly unreasonable. Many infertile women become bitter and obsessed. Your wife sounds very bitter. What throws me is that you guys already have 2 kids. 2, I'm assuming healthy and happy kids. Yes, there's a genuine grief element, but your wife is being ridiculous. She has already given birth to 2 children, and even if she hadn't, her behavior would still be unacceptable. Does she plan on avoiding all pregnant women forever? What about when the baby is born? Will you be allowed to see it? It is childish and bitter that she won't see your sister-in-law, but it is her right, ridiculous but still her right, to not attend family functions she doesn't want to. However, she cannot reasonably expect you and your kids to miss out on time with family because your sister-in-law is pregnant. I'm all for spouses supporting each other and putting one another first. But no one has wronged or hurt your wife. She is being unreasonable. Don't coddle her when it comes to this. Just because her grief and emotion are genuine doesn't mean there aren't healthier ways to handle this, particularly if she's expecting you to react in the same way. Reiterate that she's free to stay home while she's working through this, but you're not cutting off your relationship with your family because of something that's nobody's fault. And the 2 of you need to get to a place where she's content with the family she has before it starts unraveling that family.